Hello and welcome to Geekified's Worst of 2021. We have talked top 5 movies, top 5 TV shows, and now we are just going to have an all-out brawl of the things we did not like in 2021. I am going to start because this is my favorite video game franchise and they murdered it once again. How did they ruin it so bad? They took game 1, Resident Evil. They took game 2, Resident Evil 2. Very catchy names, both of them. And they murdered it by putting it into one story that did not have the best elements of either. Welcome to Raccoon City is just as bad as the last Resident Evil franchise. How did they manage that? They understood what was great about the games and still did not make it translate to the screen.
I can't comment on this. I've not watched it. I can't comment.
It's one of my favourite game franchises since I was a boy. It's what got me into zombies. It's what got me. I remember my godfather buying me the first Resident Evil 2, going home, being blown away by everything about it. Since I was a wee boy, I wanted that Resident Evil film to be out, the proper one. I don't like my earliest memory of ever kind of like looking things up on the internet and trying to do that was Resident Evil. When the old script was flying about that George A. Romero made back in the day when you had to download it and dial up and all that. And then there was a wee like trailer made. George A. Romero directed it and stuff, and it looked awesome. It was Leon and Claire. It was what it wanted to be. And then years later, Resident Evil came out, and it was a whole Alice story. And I remember being so disappointed. And since then, wanting this Resident Evil film to come out again, and watching what they were doing and saying we're going to stick to the games and all that. And yeah, exactly, Mark's saying, how? Me and my friend, who's also a big fan of it, were watching it. How do you mess this up? How do you mess? This is what I've got written in my notes. I've got Resident Evil and exclamation marks here because how do you mess this up? You have such a story there, and yet the dialogue was famously cheesy in the original Resident Evils and stuff. But the base there, you get the first film, the mansion and all that sets up. You've got like the stages you could go through with the giant shark, giant thing, the betrayal, everything there leads into the second film, and it's a wider thing. You've got the whole umbrella conspiracy, you've got everything. How do you put that in an hour-and-a-half film and mess up the characters completely where they all just look like bad cosplayers? The whole thing felt like a made-for-TV film that somehow made it on theatres. I raging. I'm trying as well.
Yeah, see, my main thing is I think they put fan service in front of actually making a legitimate story. That's what I think it is. Like, you look at the mansion scenes, that is as close to what you're going to get from the game. You know, the way the camera angles were done, the bit when obviously he's sitting in the dark and he's like doing the lighter and the guy's crawling towards him, and ends up behind him and stuff like that. That was good. The RPD building was really good. Also, the train bit of it. These things were brilliant. Donald Logue's acting is terrible in it. He's worse than a cardboard box. So the CGI is okay, but you can tell it's low budget. But I think it once again shows that Resident Evil as a thing is not suitable for the big screen. It is a TV orientated thing where you can do it episodically, leave it on cliffhangers, do things well. Like the end credit bit with him becoming Wesker is just it's cliched. It's been overused before in other franchises as well. You've got the other semi big baddie turns up and gives him the sunglasses is the final nod of fan service. I just think that for what it was okay, and the camera work is what saved it. I think the stuff that went on with the crew behind the scenes is what saved that movie from being utter tripe to just being paid homage to the games quite well. Not nasty guff story, but it's literally the camera crew for that. I'll give you your credit. Amazing.
I would agree with you there. Me and my friend were even saying that. I would agree with you there. Some of the set design, the camera, things like that. And that's what we were saying. How can you have this set up that have everything inside it so terrible? The dialogue, the characters, the actors. Like, it was, because there was that there. But I do disagree with you. I think Resident Evil could be films. I think it could be set up. All the basis is there. I think it's just been absolutely crapped upon. It's got, like, for you say, I want to use different words, but I can't. Like, I don't understand how they mess with it. The whole thing with Wesker, as you mentioned, was an absolute joke. What I can't see, so he puts on sunglasses. Everything that the CGI, I've got to disagree with as well. Sorry, I thought it was laughable. I was like, how do you make CGI worse than the games have been for the last few years?
You definitely can tell it's low budget. Like, you can definitely tell, like, especially, like so badly done. It was like something out of Army of the Dead. It was just so badly done. Sorry, Chris. It was so badly done. But like
the zombies didn't even look like zombies.
Hey, hold on. Shots fired.
Well, I mean, let's do the natural progression from Resident Evil: Welcome to Raccoon City over to Nathan's absolute punching bag, and it is Zack Snyder's the Army of the.
Bring it on.
Oh my
Bring it on.
God.
Hit me. Go. Hit me.
The only thing that makes Army of the Dead not the worst thing that's on television this year was that nonsense that was Hawkeye. The only redeeming feature for Army of the Dead is that it's not Hawkeye. It's so bad. It's so bad. It's a terrible story. It's just full of cliches. It's just utter nonsense. And the fact that they do a spin-off film from it that's 1,000 times better than it shows you how atrocious it was. Zack Snyder cannot write a script for shit. Pardon my French. He may be a great director and he makes things look really nice, but he cannot write a script. He's proven that in the DC stuff he's done. He's not a good writer. He might be a great director, but he's not a good writer. And this one, Dave Bautista can't act. I like him as Dave Bautista cannot carry a film. He can be a secondary character. He can't carry a film, which he tries to do here. It's just such nonsense, this movie, Chris. It makes me so angry. It makes me so angry. Like I said, the only redeeming feature is that it's not Hawkeye. It's the only thing that's good about it.
Shut up. It was brilliant. That's my defense.
Fair enough. He did pull his mic closer to his face, and as we all know, that is the ultimate power move when all we have is cameras and microphones. So, so what is it you hate about Hawkeye so much? Because I quite enjoyed Hawkeye. I didn't think it was the best bit of television, but it was entertaining enough that my brain didn't completely melt out the side of my head.
It was 6 episodes of filler, and about 20 minutes of stuff happening. And just there was like all the bad guys got defeated so easily in every fight scene there was in the whole thing. I like it could have been. I've just recently started watching Daredevil on Netflix, and they should have made that show. Well, I like that show. A really dark underground sort of feel to it. Make it a bit more violent. Not have fucking, pardon my French, LARPers and stupid arrows and all this sort of stuff. You didn't need to have that. It should have just been like a really grippy, dark crime underworld thriller. They could have had like a really sort of Batmanish sort of vibe to it, and instead they just went for just nonsense and sentimentality. And there was just so many missed things as well. I mean, I thought at the end, Vincent D'Onofrio comes in and plays Kingpin, and I'm just like, why are you so scary exactly? Because I know from the
agree with you there on it was a bizarre choice for it. I totally get that Chris is about to go, but it's from the story, it's from the comic book story that I've not read. But Kingpin was a strange choice for how light-hearted the rest of the series was to how brutally violent a character Kingpin is. And the fact that, he is just launching, is it Haley Steinfeld or something? He is punching her so hard that girl should have died multiple times over. Yeah. We're gonna find out that she's got superpowers because he punches her so hard that she goes across an entire shop floor and into a wall and doesn't die. Yeah. To go that far, would you get hit by a car going at 50 miles an hour would fling you that far? Then you would die from that. And it did feel a bit disjointed, that final episode, because I love Kingpin. And I actually really enjoyed the lightheartedness of Hawkeye. It felt like Home Alone with bow and arrows at Christmas time, which Home Alone is already at. And so I didn't hate it, but Kingpin felt so incredibly out of place because he's such a dark and broody character.
And this character, Echo, who apparently is getting her own show now, isn't she?
Yeah.
And she was just such a weak character in it. And, she just got beat up constantly by everybody.
I quite like that actress, though. I'm excited to see what she can do if she's given the correct script.
That's all she can do, apparently.
I know. If she's given something else to do.
She's heavily involved in Daredevil stuff, so it's obviously a good way of getting Del Toro back, getting Charlie Cox into the MCU fully. You know, she's very much a large part of Daredevil's sort of lore as such as well. But, you know, see regardless what goes on, see until we see the direction that they're going to take Kingpin and Daredevil, we will always compare those characters to what we've seen in Netflix. And, you know, as Nathan said, like, he's went for caving in skulls with a car door in Daredevil to then getting beat in the most ridiculous ways in Hawkeye, and it's done. I can appreciate all the stuff in it where it's came straight out of the comics, like his Hawaiian shirt, some of the, you know, the scenes, the chase scenes and stuff came straight out of the Hawkeye comics. I can appreciate that, love that stuff myself, but when you've got actors who have got a bit of magnitude behind them now because of how successful that Daredevil series was, you can't take somebody who is that brutal and that violent from that show and then put them into kid-suitable Marvel and expect it to fly. It just doesn't work for me personally. I think they need to start doing separating, you know, your sort of more adult-oriented characters and take them in a different direction.
I mean, what are they going to do that with him? What are they going to do with Blade? You know what I mean? What are they going to do with Blade?
Yeah,
They can't fit into the family-friendly thing, Blade.
Yeah,
Have you seen Pop Funkos? It's just going to be a Pop Funko on screen and Blade's just going and killing.
I'd probably
get so many tie-ins to Daredevil, to Kingpin, to Spider-Man. There's a lot.
There was so many characters, and they had to finish their arcs off. It's called Hawkeye, and it should have only been him and maybe the new Hawkeye. You're bringing all these different characters in, and at the end, with that, you know, the extra clip where, oh wait, we started with this character, so we need to finish her arc off. This character needs, let's bring the LARPers in because they need to finish their story off. It was just so many characters and giving them too much screen time.
And I waited 3 minutes. I waited 3 minutes for that bloody musical scene.
That as well. Start me on that.
That as well. That's the most insulting thing I've ever seen on television.
And behind your own head.
It's actually taking the piss out of musical theatre in West End, of how cheesy it is as well, which is, it's just, like, whoever was the showrunner on that should get fired. And it's a typical example of how Disney are slowly rotting Marvel. I think.
But why is it Disney? It's Kevin Feige produced this and executive produced this. So it's Kevin Feige that's decided that's a good thing to do.
Yeah.
You know, I think
Disney. Adult Disney. You do.
It's easy to blame Disney, but then Disney's also running Mandalorian and stuff like that, and the people that are running that part of it aren't letting them do that. So it's to do with the people that are running the show. So that's Kevin Feige. He's down as a producer and an executive producer on this show. You know,
it's slowly becoming like Game of Thrones, amazing. And then the disappointing end season with Marvel, where you're finishing, the characters that started off Marvel at the start and they're just like fading, fading out.
Yeah, I think that's a great analogy, man. The Game of Thrones one, because it is. It's like, all the end of these characters, Hawkeye and all this kind of thing, fizzling out. Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay,
sucks.
So we have ratted on Hawkeye for a good minute. So I'm going to change it to the worst horror movie easily of 2021. We're going to talk about James Wan's massive misfire of Malignant. I have never laughed so hard at a movie that is not a comedy than I did at Malignant. I think I live commentaried it the whole time to you guys, because I could not understand, is this guy taking the piss? He's one of the best horror directors of the last 2 decades, and he just created the worst horror movie of the last 2 decades in the same breath. Chris, I know that you watched this and hated yourself for watching it. What did you think?
Oh God, I totally fell into the trap. I just felt like, I don't even know why I watched it. Just because you mentioned it and I thought.
I told you how bad it was and you still watched it.
And I'm not joking, I stopped it like 5 times as I was watching it going, am I going to do this to myself? Do I want to beat myself up a little bit more this week? Yeah, I'll press play. It was horrific, absolutely. It became borderline crazy, ridiculous, just nonsensical, just running backwards like what even? You've not seen it. You'll know what I mean. You don't know what understand the ridiculous.
No, that was good though. I like that.
Can you just edit that and have that as a meme?
It's
It
horrible.
looks like Alice Cooper had a bad one. It generally that's what it looks like.
Yeah, it's utterly horrible. One of the most horrible movies I've watched since another one, Mark, called Caught.
Caught, yeah. But you know what? Caught, I was trying to get you back for making me watch Mean Girls.
I told you this, I'm never ever going to balance it because Mean Girls is brilliant.
But Mean Girls is great, man. That's what I said. That's it.
I guess the twist in the first minute. It wears everything on its sleeve. And it's also quite racist in places, Mean Girls, quite racist.
It's not aged well. Let's put it that way. It's not aged well.
It hasn't, much like the six of us, sadly. Oh, wait, what else is everyone hating other than Malignant, Hawkeye?
I think Death to 2021 we're all watching the
Oh my God.
The worst of my life.
I think Charlie Brooker had zero to do with it this year and was just the producer.
Name's on it. His name's on it. I don't know.
To get the money.
Last year he wrote and directed it last year. This year he didn't write or direct it. And it's just, I don't know how you go from something last year that was really funny and, insightful into this, just like, it was like the end of season review on the BBC World Service or something. It was just so bad.
Yeah.
It was awful.
Because Death to 2020 is in our top 5 best watches of 2020, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely was. It was in
And
there.
there wasn't a single joke I laughed at in Death to 2021.
No, it was 3.5 minutes in and I was like, what the hell is this, man? What the hell is this? It was absolutely awful. It was not a snicker, not anything. It was just the unfunniest bread I've ever looked at, man. It was nonsense.
It was
absolute nonsense.
I think I messaged you after I'd had it on for half an hour. It's basically saying, is there a joke in it?
No,
yeah.
Not a single joke. The thing is,
the whole thing's a joke, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole thing's a
funny
joke,
one.
so they got us there. Like, there you go.
One I do want to talk about, and I'm not sure if you've all have seen it. If you haven't, God bless you. May you forever never see it again. Is Thunder Force.
Oh God, no!
You
two slated this so hard that I avoided it.
Holy crap! It was all it is. Again, is Paul Feig.
Yep.
Yep. All it is him making another movie and trying to cement a popular genre the way that he basically shafted Ghostbusters. He's made a terrible, terrible film and just wrapped it in a ball, calling it a superhero movie, and thought, I'll make millions. And it's so bad, it's not even remotely funny. Not even remotely funny. And poor Bobby Cannavale. I just, every time he came on screen, I was just shaking my head at him going, oh, what are you doing, Bobby? What are you doing, Bobby? He didn't deserve it.
I mean, is Thunder Force worse or better than Chaos Walking? You've got Tom Holland at the absolute height of his career, and he decided to join forces with the franchise killer Daisy Ridley for Chaos Walking.
Yeah,
I would actually say Thunder Force is worst.
Fair enough.
I don't know. Thunder Force is bad, but it's not quite as bad as Let There Be Carnage or Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Flying Condoms.
Let There Be Carnage. I only fell asleep at the end of. I can't think of another. He was pretty boring too, man. To be honest, apart there was a couple of nice fight scenes at the beginning, and then it just a light show. I didn't have any connection to it at all. And Let There Be Carnage. Damn, that was awful. Awful.
I quite liked Let There Be Carnage, but it only took 40 minutes for me to watch it because I watched it in double time. And I still got the entire story. I still got every single bit of character development and plot because there's none. It's the same movie twice. And and the funniest thing is in the first movie, they were dumb enough to bring another symbiote in as the bad guy. And it's like, well, you've done this already. You've literally blown your load in the first movie, and here it is again, and that's Let There Be Carnage. As for Shang-Chi, I cannot comment because I've enjoyed the 20 minutes I've watched, but I've only had a chance to watch 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's one of those films that you're watching it and you're like, yes, it's all right. This is fine, isn't it? Is it? And then it finishes and you're like, what happened in that? Like, I I didn't have any connection to it. So it just kind of felt like a light show. There's no weight to it, no things that are just, same with Venom one, man. This is the thing with this year. There's been so many films, because before I was doing the podcast with you, that when they came out, I was just like, nah, I don't want to see Cruella. I don't want to see Wonder Woman. None of these kind of, I don't want to see any of these films that are coming out now. And now I just can't stay away from them. So now we can't put ourselves through it and watch more of these terrible films, but like Malignant and all that. But
yeah, God, I thought Shang-Chi was brilliant. I really enjoyed
Yeah, I
that.
like Shang-Chi as well.
Really looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to seeing him become an Avenger.
Yeah, but you also liked Army of the Dead, Chris. So your opinions, sort of,
I do have something that's probably going to cause a bit of a stir, a bit of an argument. Something I watched last night.
Spider-Man, No Way Home.
No, the one that I was actually really looking forward to, Don't Look Up.
Was it bad? I've not finished it.
Night.
No spoilers.
I've not started that yet either.
I'll try for the sake of you guys and not to do it. But the thing is I was really enjoying it, watching through the camp. I was liking how it builds its own world. It's got its own world to kind of parody. Yeah, there's an allegory to things in our own world, but it's got its own story to kind of tell its own story while kind of pointing these things out, but in the context of its own story, because it's not like CNN, Fox, the president and all that. It's all kind of, Ariana Grande is in it, but she's like another character who's like a dumb celebrity, you know what I mean? So it's creating its own kind of world. And I liked all the characters, the thing with that, and then like Jonah Hill was hilarious. And then at the third act, it just goes, no, this is just a whole thing where we're just going to make a big joke about Trump and a big thing at the end of it, and all this kind of caricature of like, and I was like, that was like years ago. Like, is this not overdone? Do you know what I mean? Is this not like everything that's been said? And it just, to me, just became, I don't know, a big propaganda piece at the end, where before it was setting itself up to be so, like, it could have been more nuanced. People could have watched it and took away their own thing from it, their own thing. They had characters in it and wee things that happened, like they've got a big tech mogul kind of guy, and who the president by Meryl Streep is all this big powerhouse of a woman president, and then like Madame President, and then he comes along and he kind of bosses her about. And that's quite funny, because showing the kind of power that all this tech mogul, and then they just, I don't know, man, the third act just goes, we're just going to throw that thing, we're going to put everybody in red hats and have them just absolutely stupid caricatures of people, man. It was, I agree.
It started off so good. It was like, oh, this is actually quite a serious film. And it was like, oh, it's really, and then I know Jonah Hill's funny, but I think he gets too much power on set, like to be too much funny. And I think that's when it started to turn, where they were like giving him like free reign to come up with jokes and stuff. And I was just like, that's when it started to go downhill. I mean, it's not as bad a car crash that everyone seems to be making out on the internet. But
see, I hadn't heard anything on the internet about it. I was just really looking forward to it. But
it just goes at the end. It's just like, we need to finish this film now.
No,
I don't think that. I think it's for me. It was. I thought it was. I really enjoyed it. I thought it's a satire, and it's sort of like Dr. Strangelove esque, and it's a satire of, it's basically a parody of the pandemic. That's what he's made, and I think that and that's the comet sort of that is COVID, and it's all about that. And I really enjoyed it.
The thing is like you took it as pandemic. There's other allegories it could be like about global warming, pandemic, the thing, but it was this kind of outside thing, a comet hitting the world. Do you know what I mean? It's something that's not the pandemic. It's not global warming or political dispute or anything. It's a comet hitting the world, and to that, people can put on their own things. You could have jokes that kind of poking fun at everything that's wrong with 2021 and everything that's kind of going wrong. And then to have it where it takes a turn and you've basically got such a star-studded cast, right? I think this is the most arrogant thing I've ever seen in the entire film, my entire life. A star-studded cast of all the biggest people in Hollywood, right? And there's a bit where the film turns around and it basically says, Hollywood is right, listen to us, right? And it's like, how arrogant to put in your film that, because there's a bit where it's like the interview, Chris Evans has got a cameo, and it's an interview with her, and he's saying, he's got a badge, they're all saying about don't look up, look down, and it's like a left-right thing, and he says, I've got a badge that says look up and down. But the thing is, that's interesting is what the interviewer says, she says all of Hollywood is following, is more akin with the with the just look up. And she's like, so that and that's the people that protagonists are doing. This is the people you're following. And to turn around and say, all made by Hollywood, to say, yeah, we're Hollywood and we've got the right idea, listen to us. The idiot character Ariana Grande's playing at the beginning is an idiot. At the end, she's singing a song saying, "Use it all up, head up your asses," all this kind of thing. It was just such a turn. It was such a turn for something that could have been so funny and so moldable by people who kind of come together and laugh at each other instead of taking such a hard line between it. And I thought it let itself down with it, to be honest.
I don't agree.
I'm going to watch it. I'm going to check it out.
That was the satire
I'm
of it.
watching it as well.
Ultimately, that's what people do. They look at what somebody in Hollywood says, or the people in Hollywood think they're important and say these things. That's just what happens in society nowadays. So that's what I took from it.
Thank you. I just thought that thing was because the protagonist, the whole thing, the message is, it's just look up, look what's happened, and they've got the Hollywood saying, yeah, we were right. Well, it's just, I thought it was a bit preachy and a bit arrogant to make an own film like that yourself, saying your beliefs from it. So, yeah.
Has anyone had the unfortunate seen the card counter? No, the film is a war crime, and Martin Scorsese should be arrested for war crimes with it. You know what it really feels like? Like Oscar Isaacs and William Dafoe has had a 3-week break in between filming Spider-Man and filming Dune, and they've just went ahead and done it, and Martin Scorsese's wrote the script in the toilet. It is the most boring 2 hours of my life that I've ever seen. You literally go in a circle with no movement in the story, the script, or nothing. And William Dafoe is a fantastic actor, and he's criminally underused in the film. And the relationships as well are woeful. I love Oscar Isaac. Don't have a bad one against the guy, but his chemistry with the guy who plays Kirk is terrible. It's non-existent. He's trying to be a father figure, and it just doesn't work. And his love interest, Tiffany Haddish, she is probably the better performance in the whole thing, but the actual whole thing is wooden, is boring. I'd rather just hit my head against a brick wall for an hour and a half, and it would have been better than what I've seen with that. Severely disappointed. I thought with the cast, with Scorsese directing it, I thought this was going to be really good, and my word, it was guff. I thought it was being light about Santa being real was bad, but this film is worse. Terrible. Hated it. Everything about it.
Martin Scorsese as well. Yeah, I wasn't loving. What was the last one he made? The Irishman or something like that. That didn't either. It's a shame to see these directors fall off, man. It is.
Well, there we go.
Has anyone seen The Matrix? The Matrix yet?
No, don't talk about it.
Don't talk about it.
So I've not seen it, but I want to. But I've obviously heard a lot of bad things. I've not got any spoilers that haven't been in the trailers. I've got a friend that's seen it and said he really liked it, and I've heard other ones that have said that it's terrible. But I think this is going to be we're going to be away to end off 2021 and quite a massive disappointment, to be honest, for me. But we'll see, and hopefully. But I'm not liking what I'm looking at about it. If anybody else has got any other opinions on it.
Yeah, we're going to definitely going to see it. Probably do a wee quick review on it as well.
Yeah. Okay. So that was our roundup of all the things we hated in 2021, as they say, out with the old and in with the new. What will 2022 bring us? Hopefully a stabler base of new Marvel content. Hopefully maybe an actual Wes Anderson movie. Will it bring us the first female James Bond? Who knows? I'm not against it, but I think 99% of people are. We will find out. I'm extremely tired, so I'm going to go to bed. I don't know about the rest of you guys.
I need to stay up, unfortunately.
So it's a goodbye from Chris. It's a goodbye from Nathan. It's a goodbye from Tony. Goodbye from Nick. Goodbye from Ryan. And it's a good night and have a happy last few days of 2021 from myself. We will catch you on the flip side. Goodbye.